Dear esteemed audience of the Mindful Finance channel, in this life, we often relentlessly pursue something intangible. We think that happiness lies in having a lot of money, a lot of assets, or a very high position in society. We run constantly until we are exhausted, and then suddenly realize, even though we have acquired many things, there is still an unnamed emptiness within, a constant sense of unease. Could it be that we have forgotten an important truth that the Buddha taught more than 2,000 years ago? Contentment is our greatest wealth. Today, we will delve deeper into the teaching of contentment, knowing enough. Is knowing enough about resignation? About not striving? Or is this the golden key to unlock a life of mindful wealth? A prosperity not only in material terms, but also in spirit, without accompanying worry and affliction. We invite you to listen and contemplate. What is contentment? Understanding knowing enough correctly. Contentment according to the Buddhist teachings. In Buddhist scriptures, contentment does not mean accepting poverty, not striving, or being lazy. Contentment is not saying, "I have enough," and then doing nothing more. Contentment is a state of mind, a wisdom that recognizes the true value of what one has while understanding the limits of incessant desires. The Buddha taught, contentment is knowing what is enough of what one has, not greedily wanting more of what one does not have. It is satisfaction with the present, not being complacent with passivity, but being content with what has been achieved authentically and using that energy to live a more meaningful life, helping others more. Contentment is when we realize that happiness does not lie in owning many things, but in cherishing what we have. A simple meal, a roof over our heads, a good night's sleep, good health. Are these not invaluable assets that we sometimes overlook, engrossed in chasing superficial things outside? Distinguishing contentment from passivity and accepting poverty. Many people mistakenly believe that contentment is resigning oneself to fate or accepting one's destiny as it is. This is a harmful misunderstanding. Contentment is not accepting inadequacy or scarcity. On the contrary, contentment is the foundation for us to develop ourselves sustainably. A person who practices contentment still works diligently, still strives to achieve goals, but they do so with a different mindset, a mindset without greed, not blindly chasing material possessions, not comparing themselves to others. They understand that true wealth is not measured by bank account numbers, but by peace of mind. For example, a person who practices contentment still tries to work to earn money to support their life and take care of their family. But they will not work to the point of exhaustion, sacrificing health and family time just to earn much more money without knowing what to do with it. They know that money is a means, not the ultimate goal. They know how to set limits on their desires. Contentment in the context of modern society. In modern consumer society, we are surrounded by messages encouraging spending and ownership. Advertisements and social media constantly depict an ideal life with luxurious items and premium experiences. This easily leads us into a spiral of comparison, of the fear of missing out, FOMO, and ultimately dissatisfaction with what we have. At this point, contentment becomes extremely important. It helps us to redefine our personal values, not to be swept away by trends, not to be manipulated by false desires. Contentment helps us to slow down and reevaluate what is truly important in our lives. Think about it. How many things have you bought and then left unused? How many times have you shopped just because you felt empty or lonely? Contentment helps us break free from the endless cycle of shopping to fill an inner void and move towards deeper spiritual values. Contentment, the key to mindful wealth in personal finance. Mindful wealth is a concept that our channel, Mindful Finance, always aims for. It is not just about having a lot of money, but about having a healthy relationship with money, knowing how to use money mindfully, and letting money serve one's peaceful and meaningful life. Contentment is the core foundation for this mindful wealth. Reducing financial pressure and anxiety. When we don't know enough, we always feel lacking, always worried about not having enough money, not enough assets. This fear leads to stress, insomnia, and even affects health and relationships. Contentment helps us let go of unnecessary pressures. When you know enough, you will no longer be obsessed with having to earn a lot more money to buy unnecessary things. You will realize that you already have enough to live a comfortable life, and from that, you will feel much lighter. For example, instead of worrying about having to buy a luxurious car to keep up with friends, you realize that your current car still works well and meets your transportation needs. This helps you save a large amount of money and not bear the additional pressure of installments. Smart and effective money management. Contentment does not mean not needing money, but rather using money purposefully and most effectively. When you know enough, you will think more carefully before spending. You will be able to distinguish between essential needs and temporary desires. Budgeting and adherence. A contented person clearly understands their income and expenses. They budget reasonably, prioritizing necessary expenses and cutting unnecessary ones. This helps them avoid overspending and debt. Purposeful saving. Contentment helps you save not out of stinginess, but because you have clear goals for your money, such as an emergency fund, future investments, or helping those in need. Mindful investing. When investing, a contented person does not blindly chase profits, but considers risks and especially invests in areas that bring true value to society without harming the environment or people. They understand that money needs to circulate and grow mindfully. Remember the saying, money is a good servant, but a bad master. Contentment helps you master money instead of letting money master you. Limiting wasteful spending and debt. One of the clearest consequences of not knowing enough is overspending and falling into a debt spiral. We shop to feel better, to affirm ourselves, or to keep up with others. But that joy is often fleeting, followed by feelings of regret and the burden of debt. Contentment helps us break this cycle. When you cherish what you have, you will have less need to buy unnecessary things. You will find joy in simple meals at home rather than extravagant parties, with durable items rather than fast fashion items that quickly go out of style. This not only helps you save money, but also minimizes negative environmental impacts, contributing to a green, sustainable lifestyle. Enhancing the ability to accumulate and create sustainable assets. When you know enough and spend mindfully, you will have a better ability to accumulate assets. Instead of spending all the money you earn, you can set aside a portion for saving and investing. This accumulation is not the hoarding of a greedy person, but a thoughtful preparation for the future. It helps you have a solid financial foundation to cope with unexpected events, to pursue meaningful dreams, and to share with those less fortunate. Sustainable assets here are not just money, but also health, wisdom, good relationships, and inner peace. A person who practices contentment will know how to invest in these values because they understand that these are the true and valuable assets. Practicing contentment in daily life. So how can we practice contentment in today's busy life? This is not easy, but it is entirely feasible if we practice mindfulness and perseverance. 1. Practicing mindfulness and gratitude. Mindfulness in spending. Before buying anything, stop and ask yourself, do I really need this item? Will it bring long-term value to my life, or is it just a temporary desire? Practicing mindfulness when shopping helps us make wiser decisions. Gratitude for what you have. Each day, take time to reflect and list the things you're grateful for in life. It could be a delicious meal, a warm home, a true friend, a morning waking up in good health. When you focus on what you have, you will feel much more complete. Gratitude is the most potent antidote to greed. 2. setting clear and realistic financial goals. Contentment does not mean having no goals. On the contrary, it helps you set more realistic and meaningful financial goals. Define what enough means for you. Everyone has a different definition of enough. Ask yourself, with my current income, how much do I need to cover basic living expenses and have a comfortable, peaceful life? Once you determine this number, you will no longer feel the pressure to earn more unnecessarily. Focus on value, not quantity. Instead of setting a goal to own many assets, set a goal to use money to create value, to support what you believe in, to improve the quality of life for yourself and those around you. The Buddha taught, "The greedy mind is like a bottomless ocean, never full." Practice a minimalist lifestyle. Review the items you own. Do you really need all of them? Try donating or selling unnecessary items. A tidy living space with fewer possessions can also help your mind become more serene. 4. Sharing and giving. One of the most effective ways to practice contentment is to share and give. When you give, you will realize that you have enough to share, and that brings a deeper joy than simply accumulating for yourself. Giving material things, whether it's a small amount of money, a meal, or a still good item, giving sincerely will help you cultivate a mind of compassion and gratitude. Giving dharma, sharing your knowledge and experience about contentment and mindful finance with others is also a precious form of giving. When we give, we are planting good seeds, and those seeds will blossom into peace and prosperity in our lives.
Benefits of contentment in a peaceful and meaningful life. Practicing contentment not only helps us achieve mindful financial wealth, but also brings countless benefits to a peaceful and meaningful life. 1. Happiness and inner peace. When you know enough, you will no longer be bound by material worries and calculations. You will have more time and energy to focus on what truly matters: health, family, friends, and personal growth. Happiness is not having everything, but knowing how to cherish what you have. A contented soul is a peaceful soul, undisturbed by greed or envy. 2. Better relationships. Greed and attachment to money are often causes of conflict in families and among friends. When you know enough, you will have fewer disputes over money, fewer unrealistic expectations from others. You will have more time to listen, understand, and loving your dear ones. Your relationships will be based on sincerity and affection, not material possessions. 3. Improved physical and mental health. Financial stress is one of the leading causes of health problems. When you reduce financial pressure through contentment, you will find yourself sleeping better, eating more heartily, and having more energy for physical activity. A serene mind, undisturbed by money worries, also helps you have a clearer, more insightful spirit. 4. A more meaningful and valuable life. When you break free from the cycle of material desires, you will have the opportunity to discover deeper purposes in life. You will have time to learn about yourself, about the world around you, and to contribute to the community. The life of a contented person is not just about taking care of oneself, but also expands to help others, to create positive values for society. That is the true meaning of a life. Dear esteemed audience, contentment is not an abandonment, but a liberation. It frees us from the shackles of greed, from worries about money, and leads us to a truly rich life. Wealth in spirit, in wisdom, in love. Let's begin to practice contentment today, one step at a time. Let's cherish what we have, be grateful for the blessings life bestows. Let's use money mindfully, not letting it control our lives. When you live with a contented mind, you will realize that happiness is not a destination, but a journey. And that journey, illuminated by the light of contentment, will always be filled with peace, joy, and meaning. How do you feel about today's topic, contentment? Do you realize the importance of knowing enough in your financial and life journey? Please share your thoughts in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe to the Mindful Finance channel to not miss the next meaningful lectures. May you and your family always be peaceful, happy, and steadfast on the path of cultivation and practice of contentment to achieve mindful wealth. Namo Amitabha Buddha.